You might find that an alcoholic or an addict will take even an expensive phone or even a TV from home, go take it to the bar, and maybe just take 2 beers out of that product. So, and maybe to talk about or to explain about that behavior, the substance use or the alcohol use disorders, actually, what happens to an addict is that an addict will always have, we talk about addiction, about that situation whereby the user has a compulsive force which forces that person to take the drug of choice, even if there is adverse effects. That is, I could be smoking, but even if I smoke, I'm still maybe coughing, I'm having some lung problems, but I have that urge or drive that forces me to look for the next path. The same thing with the drink. I know that when I drink, I might even get loose and maybe I'm not able to control myself. Even the walking, I might urinate on myself or even, but that person will not see that relationship because that person is being forced by circumstances at least to get to that optimum. Because remember last time as we were being told like alcohol is a depressant, but at some level it is a stimulant. So these drugs will have an excitement which is caused when one takes that drug or drink. But when it reaches another level, it now starts bringing adverse effects. And that is what people are not able to control. And because that is not the behavior of a human being, it is a behavior of the brain and the central nervous system. And this is all about the chemicals. So these drugs have chemicals which maybe trigger hormones which will make the mind and command either the hands or the brain or the mouth to speak things that would not have been spoken because they are under the influence of that drug. And that is why addiction was actually classified as a disease by the WHO because it is not a behavior problem. It is a compulsive disease. And actually it is further defined, addiction is defined as a family disease. Because when I drink, it will also affect my parent, my caregiver, and also my siblings or my children. So that is why it is tried to maybe described as a family disease. And those are some of the social outcomes maybe we have had. Personally, I have experienced, but I've talked about my place of work and even maybe having a very poor relationship with my family members. Yes.
And I don't know if this is a statement that you could qualify, but from time to time, you'd hear someone saying that when my dad or when my brother drinks, they are happiest, and you know, you long to see them when they are drunk. They are going to make you happy. Oh, they're going to be happy themselves. And here we are talking about relationships straining because of alcoholism or any other drug being abused by a particular person. Now, for these people that say, when our dad is drunk, when they come home, that is when they are happiest. I don't know, they'll engage them in stories. That's something that you can actually qualify. Does it happen, or is it just a misguided opinion?
Yes, it is true. It brings happiness because that person is excited. He's not the one actually who is excited. The excitement comes from the drink or the drug of choice. And what happens when one is sober will not see the reason to maybe buy a crate of soda or a packet of sweets for those children. But when that person is on influence of on a certain drug of choice, that person will see with a lot of ease and might even say that I'll even buy three packets, or even each person to get a packet each, or each person to get a crate of soda. What happens? The excitement caused by the drug, because the body works normally without any influence. But when you're under the drug use, then the body it becomes excited, and you find yourself using the money that maybe you had set aside for doing something else. And because now you are the household head, or you're the person, you're the parent, or you're the big brother, so there's nobody who is there to check on you. From what account of the finances are you using the amount of entertainment? Because when you're sober, you're going to mark days for entertainment, and you're going to have budget for that. And you also are going to allocate the source of that amount of money. But when you come under the influence, all what you had planned will now change. So even money for the water bill and the electricity might be used to buy these. Last time, when I was giving my story that you happened, an alcoholic, when he's sober, actually has got a very, very good budget and plan. But after doing that, the arrangement, school fees, hospital bill, electricity, water, maybe some clothes, and then apatini, drink, or the drug of choice. But immediately you have the start, or the first drug, a sip of your drug, then things start changing. Number one, unaona hii inaweza gojea hiyo mwezi ingine ama hiyo mwaka ingine. So that money is the one which is going to be used to fund that
budget list.
Yes. And also to create that kind of excitement. And the young people who do not understand that this person is under the influence will welcome the idea of partying and getting excited. But this will cost the family or the entity thereafter, because that was money which was earmarked for something else that has been brought to the entertainment or the happiness.
And so either way, at the end of the day, they are going to be struggling with people, because maybe you excited the children, but the mom is not happy because you used money that was meant maybe for something else, for school fees, to throw the entertainment of the bashes during your excitement hour. Now, we've talked about the physical effects. We talked about people risking lung cancer, among other diseases, when they're abusing drugs, certain drugs. We also talked about affected mentally. You could be depressed, you could develop other disorders. Now you're talking about social effects, that you're going to be struggling with the people around you. Could be at work, could be at home with your family, could be with your friends. Now all those add a lot of effects for anyone who is abusing any type of drug, for that matter. So now, what do we do for a case where someone can say this, all this is happening to me, all what they're talking about is happening to me, and the effects are adverse, and I don't want to carry on like this. Maybe this person wants to recover. Maybe this person wants to turn around. What options do we have for people who are struggling with drug and substance abuse and they want to turn around?
Yes, thank you, Mombi. Actually, what happens, the first step, as we say that even in our normal lives, that if the first step to accept change is to accept that you need that change.
Right.
That is the first step. And you find that despite what happens in the rehabs or through that organized rehabilitation, now let's talk about real life, that I have been partaking a certain drug. And to move out of that is that I've had friends tell me yesterday was messy. Somebody will tell me, you remember, you're working and maybe you're not able to pay school fees. That person will maybe trigger my mind to start reasoning that I'm failing in one part. And even friends will tell me maybe I should have had a better party or even have a better car than what I have. So people will challenge to observe me and help me to move from that level and maybe upgrade by stopping the habit of partaking the drug. And that is why friends are also good when you have got good friends. But the problem is that we have in our society, we have got those drinking or partying friends. Those will never tell you that yesterday you were messy. They will not tell you because they don't want you to leave that group. But when you are walking with the right group, and maybe you take attention to listen to that person who is telling you that this is not the right thing, you're not doing the right thing, you're drinking too much, you're having too much in the den or smoking or doing something. So when it hits your mind and you see, maybe I would rather try this. The first step is to accept that there's something wrong going on. So the second step will now be asking with the person who are around you of goodwill, what part do you want them to play? They cannot come and tell you that you need to do this. Okay, they can persuade you to learn those ideas of trying to shift, maybe stop drinking this or move from this friendship, so that at least you're most welcome to my place and we can be sharing some times together. We can be doing some cuckoos and gardening, some activities that will please you. Because when you move from the drug, you have to go to another environment that is also pleasant to you, that is acceptable to you, because you cannot tell me to stop the drug, then start doing plaiting hair. You see, because that is not something that is so friendly to me. So what might happen is that maybe with the people who are there for me, they ask me, would you join me in the chicken rearing? Or somebody will come and ask me, will you come for the furniture selling and something online? So amongst the friends, they will recommend a program that is going to shift from this and go to the other alternative, that it is out of the drug. Because the other thing that also happens to be a trigger to the drug use or a hindrance to sobriety is actually a lot of wasted time, free time. So you have to know what occupation are you going to have to get your time to think about how bored you are, or to think about what problems you have in your life. So these kind of people who are there are the people who are going to help you, or you even learn for yourself and see who else has talked about moving from the drug, moving from the bangi that I'm using. Somebody, we relate with one another. Any other power can come and occupy that space, because we are commanded by a certain power, whether it is a natural, whether it is the science, whether it is God, whatever kind of higher power that we talk about. And this one is made very clear actually in the rehabilitation programs, whereby it is a little bit formal. So in this informal side, you have to look for that other power, join a group. Socially you also need to be occupied. Remember, one thing that happens in this drug is that we make a buddy, we become buddies, and actually it's our family, and they get warmth. And actually this is what happens, that most people who move from the drug feel empty and lonely. So if they don't get it on the other side, that is the first thing that they will make them to have a very strong relapse. A relapse that one is willing to go to direct insight into that. Yeah.
Into drugs.
So because of that emptiness, they might not get somebody to fill that gap of the higher power.
And so you would advise someone who is struggling with drugs, and maybe they're back at home, maybe they cannot afford rehabilitation, which you've mentioned, and which you're going to be talking about in a moment. So you would advise them to maybe join a church or another organization that is doing something and get occupied? Do you feel like our churches or our religion groups are significant in fighting these drug and substance abuse?
Thank you, Mombi. That is why GTN is here. We are sensitizing that even if we are preaching the word of God, we also have to need to create a room which is going to be comfortable to the people who are empty. There are people who really know how to read the word of God, but they are so lonely even in the church. So when we see that person who comes to the church and is an alcoholic, that person needs somebody who has got the knowledge of addiction. When we see a hungry person, that person needs somebody who is going to help her on how to acquire a piece of land, whether it is lease, and also start doing farming. So we have to change that. The church has to be friendly to the congregants, because you cannot come to a church and you're not benefiting. You have to benefit both spiritually, and you have to, in the real life, you have to have that sense that you have got some people, or even forming support groups within the church. And I'm very happy about the Catholic Church has been very, very strong in actually supporting addicts. In fact, they have got the most places that we have AA. Remember, AA, I said, is Alcoholic Anonymous. We have meetings for alcoholics. The Catholic Church has given space for alcoholics. So that is the kind of church we want, that it is sensitive to all those people who are there. And even in the Bible, we know that even Jesus will go to those people who are seemed to be bad, the prostitute and what have you. So let the church also embrace and not keep off. In fact, we say that the church is a group of a place whereby we are going to have the people who need to be healed spiritually and psychologically. It is not for the church is not for the saints. It is for those evildoers who are coming here to get that spiritual help so that they may change. Yes.
Thank you so much. And that is how to deal with drug and substance abuse, informally said. And we are going to be taking a quick short break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what is rehabilitation, how many do we have in our country, and what does it take to be in one, and do people really get help? And when they go back to drug and substance abuse, even after rehabilitation, what causes that? So stay tuned, don't go away. This is Medicamp, and this is GTN TV, the home of gifts and talents.
Thank you.
Thikũ ici andũ aingĩ nĩ mathĩnio nĩ mĩrimũ ya nerves ta gũturwo nĩ marũngo, ciande, ciara, marũngo makaga hinya, gũikara ũkĩgandaga. Nĩkĩo Neema Health Clinic ĩgĩtongorio nĩ ndagĩtarĩ Mwangi ĩrĩ haha na ithuĩ. Oho nĩ marigitaga mĩrimũ ta kũhingana gĩthũri, ulcers na goita. Mũthenya wa mwambĩrĩrio monekaga Mahich Hotel, Murang'a Town, kũng'ethana na bengi ya KCB. Naguo wa kerĩ makoragwo Thika Robogo Building hakuhĩ na thitĩnji. Wa gatatũ makoragwo Gĩthũngũri Diplomat House hakuhĩ na thitĩnji. Gũkũ nakuo mũthĩ wa kana makoragwo Maĩ Mahiũ harĩa Mathingira House hakuhĩ na thitĩnji ya Limuru. Wa gatano makoragwo Nairobi Nyamakima Moreline House. Na rĩu mũthĩ wa Jumamothi marĩkoragwo Nyĩrĩ Town harĩa Nyĩrĩ Star hakuhĩ na Naivas Supermarket. Nĩ ũndũ wa ũhoro makĩria hũra thimũ namba 0725815641. Ũgima waku wa mwĩrĩ nĩ ũtonga waku.
Thank you so much for keeping it GTN TV. This is the Medicamp Health Show, and my name is Mombi Mavuti. In case you're just joining us, we're talking about drug and substance abuse, and we're talking about recovery. So we've talked about how to do it back at home. Maybe you cannot afford rehab, and what you need to do is, first of all, recognize that you have a problem. And then secondly, surround yourself with the right people that are going to help you come out of it, because it is not a one-man job, right? Now, we want to talk about rehabilitation. Yeah. What is rehabilitation?
Rehabilitation is the process of trying to bring back, in simple terms, you are a normal person when you are growing, then something is introduced to you, that substance or that drug is introduced, and then you embrace it. So rehabilitation is trying to bring back what was the good thing or the good person. Because the moment the drug comes in, it changes. Remember, we see that drug alters, it changes the normal functioning. And now, because you have started functioning abnormally, then in fact, we talk about being disabled. If you are going to class from 8 to 5, concentrating and doing your assignments, when the drugs starts taking effect in your body, then you start not seeing the need of doing that. So you start lazing with your mind. Okay? If I was that father or husband and I used to get my salary of 10,000 shillings and now I have the bottle, then it takes space in my life and I drift towards the drug. So I'm going to find that I was taking, like the example I gave last time, the amount that I was taking went growing to the extent that I was left with nothing. Okay? Because the drug is forcing maybe the arrangement and also the priorities are changing. And now to bring me back to do the same budget I was trying to do, that is what is called rehabilitation. Trying to bring back to the same capability of that potential of that human being at that stage. So that is rehabilitation.
Yes. And in the previous episode, you happened to mention to us that you've been to rehab and this is your 7th year. Yes. In sobriety. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, what happens in rehab?
In rehabs, with the process of rehabilitation, for one, before you go to a rehab, you have to have an assessment. The assessment will show how far are you interacting with the drug. How much damage has it done to this human being? So that when you need to go to rehab, after the assessment, you might be seen that you need to go to a mental hospital other than a rehabilitation. Why? Because there are times that when you withdraw that drug, that person is going to be violent, or in other terms, we are going to say that person is going to be mad. So that person has to be kept under watch of a medic. Remember, in the rehab, we have counselors and drug addiction counselors and also psychological and also occupational therapists. So, but for that assessment, it will dictate where do you fit. So you might go to, if it is extreme, the damage is extreme, you might go to the mental hospital. After maybe some treatment and their mind has stabilized, you might get back to the rehabilitation. So in the rehabilitation, after the assessment, then you need to do the detox. Detox is whereby you are put in maybe a diet, fluid, the fruits and the vegetables to try and drain the drugs that are in your body. But for this person who was serious, might need infusion by hydrating, because that person might be so much dehydrated. So that will need medical care. So in this point whereby you've started your detox, then you're going to continue now with, after detox, now you're going to get into therapy. Therapy is whereby you're going to have the counseling, but you're also going to be taken through some steps. Steps, we talk about in rehabilitation, we talk about the 12 steps. 12 steps are real 12, whereby you find the first step talks about getting or admitting that you are powerless over that drug. Admitting, the first step is to admit that you are powerless to whatever drug you are using. So you go on to the second step and find that you found that there is another higher power which can, because you are powerless, then you need another higher power to take over because you don't have any power to control. So you are guided to move to that power. That whatever, kuna wengine wanasema ni Mungu, the others will say it is Allah or whatever, depending on your faith. So after you move progressively through the steps, actually what happens is that within the first 1 month, you are left alone to start thinking about maybe what is happening. Because there are some people who will get into the rehab and yet they are still not in their normal state. And actually what happens in the mind of an addict or alcoholic is that alcoholic will have 5 stages. 5 stages is that one is called the pre-contemplation stage. This is whereby the pre-contemplation is that, yes, I know I'm drinking and it's not your drink, it is not your liver, it is not your money, you are in that stage. You are drinking and you don't care about what is happening. That is called the pre-contemplation stage. Then we come to the second stage, which is called contemplation. You start thinking, now, by the way, last weekend I caused some problems. Yeah. In fact, then I did not realize where I slept. How did I go to Nyahururu? You are now trying to reason as if now you start seeing there's a problem. You even start realizing, hearing, or seeing the sense of this person who told you that yesterday you did not do right. So it starts hitting you. That is contemplation. Then after contemplation, now you have the preparation stage, whereby now you have thought about it and now you really want to quit because you're making enemies, everybody is complaining, and you yourself, you are even the biggest complainant. So now you are ready. Whether you tell me to take a blue bottle or a green plant, you are ready for everything. So that is the third stage of readiness. And now after getting ready, now the other stage is called action, whereby you really want to act, bring everything that is needed for you to be sober. You throw away the bottles or the cigars or the bangi, and you bring what you think is good to help in your sobriety journey. That is the action stage. Then after the action, now you go to the maintenance. Because you have acted, now you want to maintain that you don't have any other bottle coming in, any other cigarette, or any other whatever drug or tablet. So those are the 5 stages. And it is the same that happens mostly action will happen in the rehab. And you find that rehabilitation maybe takes 3 months. And the reason that it takes 3 months is that for those 12 steps, you cannot be taught and actualize and act on them within 1 month. Because when you are rushed, there are some things that you're going to rush and just do it without internalizing. So you find that in the first maybe 1 month, you really don't understand. But when you find that, in fact, you don't have the freedom, you start seeing and appreciating. So when I was out, I would even go to the garden, I would even go to school. You start seeing now sense in the activities that you are not seeing. So this is the time most people start acting from the 2nd month. And that is why it takes 3 months. And the whole treatment or therapy goes for those 3 months for those reasons that I have said, that steps are taken gradually. until you understand. Because you might find that in the last 2 weeks of the third month is now when you're talking about reaching out to others. You have acted on yourself. Now you won't need to look for your brothers and sisters in addiction. So that now you start talking about how you feel, what are you doing, so that at least you can go together. Because when you go alone, you're going to fall. Even Jesus told his disciples that if you people don't fellowship, you are going to lose the battle of faith. Okay? So that is the same way, and that is why I've said that it is more of a spiritual thing to deal with addiction. Because even when you're seated in a place whereby there is no drug, you start feeling a voice telling you, now what are you doing here? Okay? That voice is the compulsive force that tells that person, what are you doing seated here? For now, you sat here for 1 hour. You know, you need to move out and go meet your buddies.
Yes.
So that is how you deal with that force, by having a relationship with the higher power. This is what happens in the rehab, that when you complete the 12 months, then you are going to start the group. In the rehab, you start now practicing how to meet with other people who are suffering like you. Because the moment you share experiences, it becomes an excitement, and you also stop hating yourself because of the things that you were doing. When I was mentioning about the social effects, you know, like it is in the rehab that I started saying how I was even picking money from my wife's purse. Why? Because these are things that I will not imagine that a normal person will speak. But the moment I speak amongst my peers who are drinking friends, then it will also be easy to that other person. Okay? So our drinking, our fellowship will also help. When I share, it will help this other person. And this is what happens even when I come on TV. Actually, when I share, I know there is one person who is going to is going to relate with my story. And that person now will be very much comfortable to walk the journey of sobriety. Because I have said that most of the addicts do not have a surety that if I stop, what am I going to do on the other side? And that is the biggest fear. So the good thing is to try and keep on encouraging those people who are already suffering, and we come together so that we encourage one another. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Our camera guy was here fixing the camera. He's Mason Jogona. He's not abusing drugs, but out of curiosity, he wants to know, does withdrawal happen immediately? Like when you go to rehab, if you're taking alcohol, will the alcohol disappear like immediately, or is it gradual?
Yes, and that will only be noted during the assessment, because the amount of drug and the length or a period you've taken actually will dictate the kind of treatment that you need. So there are those people who have been occasional drinkers, but they have been heavy drinkers, such that even when they are not drunk, they are restless, they are very uneasy, they are sickly. And that person, when you take that person to bed during the nighttime, will start having some hallucinations and nightmares. And that person will even start doing things that he is not conscious about, and can even break the window, and maybe even without knowing that he was doing that. And that there are people who have even severed their necks because of the withdrawal. And it is at the assessment that will tell this person will need to go to a mental hospital to be given the drugs which maybe try to stabilize the mind, so that at least when you come a little bit normal, then you can be integrated to. Remember, this addict is in his or her own world. They are not people who sleep at 8 p.m. and wake up at 6. They are people who their mindset has already changed and their lifestyle has changed. So that is what happens in that kind of setup. It happens with the assessment. Each and every case is treated differently. You don't
Each
have
case
the
is
whole
unique.
yeah.
Right. Even after that process that you've explained to us, the process of rehabilitation, which sounds quite doable, we have people who relapse or lapse back to abusing drugs and substances. Even after the 3 months they have undergone rehab. What do you think causes that?
What causes maybe the relapse and lapse is because you lower your guard. We talk about it's a fight. We are fighting addiction, yeah. And when you're in a fight, you have to have your guard. And the guard, like for my case, to explain this, I always introduce myself. I'm Edwin, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. What does that tell? It will tell the friends that even if we are going to have lunch, please just know I'm recovering.
Yeah.
So you're going to ask, you are recovering from what? So that for those people who are willing to be there to support me, they are going to even tell, hey, can you know this guy is doing, is in recovery, okay? So, but likewise, we also have people who want to bring me down. You know, there are people who will even accidentally, intentionally come and put that thing closer to me, or even bring a cigarette closer to me, so that I get that urge of smoking. So, but there is a force that when you take charge, that you say what you're doing, you're going to get people, you're going to attract people who are going to support you. So don't hide. That is one thing that will help you to stand, and look for people who have already started that journey, and you are also going to be feeling encouraged, and maybe you're going to be shown the routes to follow. Because remember, this person has only been, his mind is only acquainted to only those places and those people. So this person needs to be introduced and also maybe contained to maintain the new habits. And that is what will keep one from lapsing and also relapse. The other thing we also talk about, avoiding the slippery grounds. The slippery grounds are 3. We talk about people. Avoid those people who take that drug. We talk about people, we talk places. Avoid the drinking or the base mahali hizo vitu zinauziwa. Then we also avoid the things. When you talk about the things, maybe I'll talk about the capes. You're going to find that there are people who are going to put on things that will bring memories. So when I look at this is maybe this is a flower of opium, okay? And people might wear just because it's a cape. But there is somebody who is holding it onto it because it excites me. So I have not left those habits, okay? Because drugs come with also habits. We talk about other disorders, including, I talked about picking disorders, and there's also pathological lies. You know, that addict will also make an arrangement that will look like a true case. That, you know, I have a problem, I just need 10,000 shillings for an x-ray. Kindly, cameraman, can you help me? And, you know, that kind of sympathy. And literally, that person is not having a problem. Or in the real sense, he's having a problem, but that person, with the priorities, as we said, yes, he really wants to go to hospital, but the moment he gets the money, or she gets the money, that will not happen. Okay? You see, like getting things, we have talked about people, places, and things. So you find that even this cape is advertising another thing. This is stick.e.vape. This is also advertising the use of vape. And vape, these are also now products coming in that are very friendly, that might not be noted even in our places of work and even schools. So we also need to be very much alert, even if when we are in our places of work and at homes as parents, because the moment you find such logos or even platforms for somebody to view, that kid might get this link and get attracted to what is happening in this, the vape the e-cigarettes. So these are some of the things I've talked about, the people, places, and things. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is quite a moment we're really learning from you. And now, rehabs. In rehab, someone is getting professional help. And if someone stays committed and practices what you've said, not to lapse or relapse, I think it is quite effective. But how many of those do we have in our country?
Rehabs are upcoming.
Yes,
in fact,
and is the cost friendly for someone who considers going to rehabilitation?
it is quite expensive. Actually, we have the cheapest ranging from 60,000 and the highest ranging to 600,000 for the 3 months. So you can imagine the normal setup of an alcoholic, even if it was somebody who was employed like me, raising 60,000 to take to the rehab, and yet we are struggling to educate our children, then it will be a hell of a problem. We find that out of the rehabs that we have, only about 4 are from the government support or subsidies. We have Nyeri, and that is where I went for my rehabilitation. In Nyeri, we have got Ihororo Rehabilitation Center. We have Madare. Ihororo costs about 60,000. We have Mathare Mental Hospital has got a rehab. That one costs 90,000. We have Coast. We have Miritini and another one in Port Reitz. Those are the 4 government institutions. The others are private and range from 120 to now the 600,000. So I'm saying even for that family that has got that alcoholic, you can imagine the 60,000 to raise is a hell of a problem. And the other big problem is that you might understand that there is always a problem when we find that people are going there without having gone through the preparation stage. So when you take somebody to the rehab and has not gone through the preparation and the contemplation stage, it will be all useless. It might not have the results. Yeah.
And so for maybe most of our countrymen, they would have to it has to be a really self-driven journey for them to embrace maybe the process that you said we can be able to do from home. And so as we conclude, what's your call for people abusing drugs and substances, and what measures do you think the government, especially now that we have only 4 rehabs that are quite costly, what are some of the things that you feel like we should do to make sure that people who are recovering with addiction, these are people who have already accepted that I am struggling with this and I want to change the status. What do you think we should do to help these people as a community, as the government? What role do we have to play in this?
Thank you, Mombi. Remember, I want to remind the viewers that addiction is a disease. So whatever we are going to do, we have to know that this person is not his own wish to be in that situation. That is the first part. The second part is to send emissaries who can relate. Like when maybe I'm made an ambassador of women issues, I will not relate very well with women issues, even if I'm maybe elected with a big majority of the women. But when we put a woman to talk about woman issues, then it will be doable. Because when I was on the other side, I'll relate very well with somebody who has been in the drinking menace. I would really even sit down because that person will even afford to give me a shoulder, you see. But when you have somebody who has maybe read so hard and has done very well, might not understand the feelings of that addict. And the moment you show that you can relate with them, the same way you're going to make a plan for themselves, And then to start that journey, as I said, you help them to move from the pre-contemplation to move to the contemplation, and that is a process. So, but it becomes a problem when you take that person and pick that person and take that person to the rehab, because that person is going to break. But when you take that process and initiate, like we have always been saying, that when a force comes from the inside, a life is born. It is like in the place of an egg. When you put a force, we as the community and the government, if we force these people to stop drinking, we are going to crash. But if we talk to them, help them initiate that change from the inside, a new life is going to be born. And that is the secret. Let us talk to them. Let us put those people with the people they are going to accept, and that will be doable. And these people are going to win. Because I believe, like for my case, I'm here now. In fact, yesterday I was celebrating my second month from, I had 7 years and now 2 months, and today, if I complete today being sober, I'll have 1 day tonight.
You will complete
that is, it's a journey every day, and I'm looking forward to have that 1 day. Yes.
That is quite brilliant what you've shared with us. And now we are about to conclude this part B of drug and substance abuse. And you mentioned that you need to tell people how they're going to assist you, because this is not something you can do alone. As we wind up, I want to give you this moment to celebrate or to mention people or institutions that helped you recover. And you don't need to name medical, because we are going to say it for ourselves, that we celebrate you, and that's why we have given you this opportunity to share your journey with us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mombi. Actually, I remember my turning point. As I said about my story, I've been in addiction for more than 22 years. And it is at a certain point that we talked with Patrick Njogu, who was my immediate boss in Mokuroine. He talked to me and told me that, Edwin, you're just a very good person, very productive. Can you really tell me what we can do to help you continue doing your best? Because you can do your best. Patrick Kenyanjui Njogu. He did not only initiate or trigger my sense of going to rehab, but he also mobilized my colleagues in Mokuroine to even visit me to the rehab, and especially during the time of graduation. So I had a team who knew I could not hide from them that I was in the rehab. So they attacked me, and I had no other choice but to embrace that they know I was in the rehab. And they had, when we were graduating, that these people need to be supported. And actually these people supported me. Because even when I came, they started saying, "These are our champion, Edwin is our champion." So I think it really encouraged me. And together with my family, they have really done a good job. And actually, I did not have a support group within Nyeri. And I was able to maybe initiate through the help of the county government, the team, the director's office, and the county governor. They have been very supportive. And that is why I believe that kind of support is all what needs to be with the other people. Something else which is very unique is about the Gachagwas, the deputy president, the spouse. I want to say that the day I entered the rehab in Nyeri, it was paid for fully by the late governor, Nderito Gachagua, who passed on 4 days after I joined the rehab. So I want to say that I think the late Nderito Gachagua, he's the one who gave me the new lease of life. And maybe we might get to see my photos before I went to rehab to see that the amount that was paid was not in vain. Because now, 7 years 2 months down the line, I can relate that addiction was taking me to the grave. I've lost 4 of my college mates to alcohol. They were my drinking buddies. So this is how serious it is. And actually, 4 of my college mates and 6 of my colleagues. And actually, I always calculate. I said I was supposed to be the number 4. If I hadn't gone to the rehab, I would have died the 4th. But they have died, they have gone 6. May they rest in peace. But it is because people will not understand about the disease. So it is so serious, and I really appreciate the vice, the deputy president, and also the spouse. They have something, they understand. And even the deputy president confessed that he has been hit. And like I explained last time, that my parents were getting on and off in hospital. But now they don't. Actually, it's because of that. So when it's called a family problem or family disease, then families are suffering and the nation is suffering. But this fight is doable, and I really appreciate the late Governor Ndirito Gachagua, because it is because of him I did not pay anything. It was fully paid by his government, which the rehab started in Korea, and maybe people were still not seeing why a health center was to be closed and even converted to be a rehab. But the results of his action and his government are here evident 7 years after he went to be with the Lord. So I'm very appreciative of the county government of Nyeri and the Honorable Gashagua's kid.
Thank you so much, and that's where we are going to wrap it up. And I want you to remember that it is doable, and each of us has a role to play in it. You could say, I'm not abusing drugs, my relative is not, but then you have the role of being an accommodative community, and together we can rise above addiction, drug and substance abuse. Thank you so much for taking your time to learn with us here at Medicamp. My name is Mumbi Mavuti. See you next Tuesday, same time, same place.
Thank you.